Let's take a moment to talk about drunk driving. If you've chosen a career in alcoholism or know someone who's in the middle of it now, I'll cut right to the chase. DUIs are almost certainly in that future. You can have a good run. You can have decades of luck on your side. But it is almost an inevitability. I stated earlier, and I stand firm on it, alcoholism ends in only one of three ways. You stop, you go to jail, or you die. That's it. I went to rehab and so many programs with people who got DUIs, and they were actually complaining. They were complaining about how it ruined their lives. Their lives. They would complain about how the judge took their license and then told them they had to get a job, and they were complaining about how unfair that was. How am I supposed to go to work when you took my license, they would say. And I'm staring at them thinking that the best case scenario was you lost your license. The worst case scenario, I won't even get into the worst case scenario. Go ahead and Google the statistics on your own if you want. You'll find out quickly the worst case scenario. 13,000 people died last year in literally the most easy to avoid way possible. Here's the thing. Whether it feels like it or not, most often a DUI is the best thing that could ever happen to an alcoholic. There's a reason the system exists, and there's a reason it's set up the way it is. To save lives. Not just the lives of the people you could have injured, but your own life as well. Because let's be honest with ourselves. Alcoholics rarely stop on their own. You just don't discover rock bottom. There's no magic cure or path. For most of us, the only way we can start to get to rock bottom is if we're absolutely slammed into it. By 2015, I was fully immersed in my drinking. I was 36 years old, no job, no prospects, and the woman I had been living with for the past few years just kicked me out. I was back in my parents' house, and I found out on a Facebook post that that same woman was seeing a new guy. I found out on a Facebook post, man. That's cold-blooded. So, to cope with my heartache, I went on a month-long bender, ran out of booze, drove to the liquor store, drunk, hit a car in the parking lot, got arrested, and now I had my first DUI. Needless to say, this was not a proud moment in the life of Bob. The attorney told me to wait for the court date, but it looks better if you're employed, so get a job. I hadn't worked in over a year. I applied for a job at a grocery store by my parents' house and was hired the very next day. Totally didn't want to work there. In my mind, it was very beneath me. I was 36 years old, the only man running a register, and my boss was a 20-year-old kid that I could have realistically taught in preschool. I was miserable. This time in my life is probably the time where I'm the most embarrassed by the way I was. And believe me when I tell you, I've done some embarrassing stuff. This was still the time, though. This was my professional victim phase. Just moping around, reminiscing about being a teacher and complaining about being alone, drinking before work, drinking in my car on breaks. I honestly thought that it couldn't get much worse. But then, almost on cue, it got so much worse. I had off work for an entire week once, and I went on another bender and ended up getting another DUI. I got it the exact same way as the first one. Drove to the liquor store drunk, hit a car, and then I tried to flee the scene. Got arrested again. Got a DUI again. I got another DUI before I even went to court for the first one. Say that out loud without shaking your head. The attorney told me I was going to jail for sure, just wait for the court dates, and they took my license. So, on top of working this job that was already humiliating in my opinion, now my mommy and daddy had to take me and pick me up. I truly, deeply, sincerely was having trouble thinking of reasons to even get out of bed back then. But then, something odd happened. I started pouring myself into that job. I began to make friends there. I started giving all the employees nicknames and calling them my X-Men. I did whatever it took to get my mind off of my upcoming court cases. Because I'll tell you, a definite prison sentence on the horizon really puts things into perspective. I started singing at the register, hiding paper ninjas all over the store, and making funny announcements over the intercom when I was working. Then, I started realizing something. These people liked me. Also, I liked them. It didn't feel beneath me, and for the first time in years, I stopped feeling sorry for myself and just started making the best of things. And my attitude was contagious. The court cases came and went. I got 5 weekends in jail and a blow tube put on my car, and 2015 was starting to be in the rear view. I was free to leave the grocery store and get back to feeling sorry for myself. But here's the thing. I didn't. I had unknowingly gotten back my feeling of worth. I started giving to charities. I started food drives at the store. I got involved with Toys for Tots. I hung out with the staff after work and I did stand-up comedy at an open mic night. I didn't realize it, but I had gotten my life back. You know, I truly do believe there is a plan for everything. And if you relax, it usually becomes clear. Because just when I had learned humility and how to get back into the world through this job, the best thing to come out of it happened. I didn't know it that night, but this stage of my life was about to end, and the next one was about to begin. I was working that night, making jokes with the other cashiers, having fun with my new makeshift family, and then she came in. I was ringing her through, joking around with everyone and putting on my show. She was laughing alongside everybody else, and ironically, I wasn't even really paying attention to her. And then she said it. "Hey, Bob." It was Sarah. I hadn't seen Sarah in over 18 years. I never thought I'd see Sarah again from when I was younger. But if you don't know who she is and how that turns out, then you have a lot of blogs to read up on here. But spoiler alert, it has a happy ending. That store became just another memory a few months later. I moved on from it, started my life with Sarah. But there was such a lesson I learned from that place. Even the times that seem the most miserable, the most desperate and unfixable, they can produce some good if you're just willing to look for it. And it's absolutely all about perspective. Because here's the thing, without that DUI, without someone forcing me to get better, there would be no Sarah, no Blur, no bread box, no nothing. Hell, let me be totally honest, there's a real world chance I would be dead. And that would have been the best case scenario. The worst case scenarios, I don't even want to think about them. I wasn't expecting my life to change that night. I didn't wake up thinking everything was going to be different after that day. But that's the point. These mistakes we make, the ones that we beat ourselves up over the most, maybe if you just take a second and stop being so hard on yourself, you'll see it happen for a reason. I'll be sober 5 years this coming June. Sarah just received the results to her biopsy and she's cancer-free. Blur is a straight A student in high school. Pumpkin is getting her first house with her boyfriend. Jennifer is doing better than she's ever done in her life. Jake is working full-time and getting his act together. And Tyler just started going back to college. And I got to be a part of all of that. Every minute of it. All because of a mistake I made in 2015. And I'll tell anyone who will ever listen, I wouldn't do a single thing differently. Because honestly, it ended up being the best mistake I've ever made in my life.